Who was interested first? Who said I love you first? Who's more protective? Who cleans more? Who eats the most? Who spends the most money? Who is most likely to start an argument? Who falls asleep first? Who is more annoying? Who loves the hardest?
Today's video is about a 30-year-old woman named Shandell who was killed by her abusive husband. Carl Watts beat, stabbed, and abused her, and he threatened to kill himself if she ever left him. Carl has a lengthy criminal history, having been accused of numerous crimes, including kidnapping and armed robbery. According to reports, Watts reportedly offered Harris money to have accusations against her dropped. When she declined, he reportedly killed her in front of her daughter. In this story, we will also speak about the events that led to the woman's passing. Before we begin this video, we would like to express our deepest sympathies to the family and friends who were severely affected by this horrible crime. We would also like to send condolences to Shandell's family and friends. Today's video takes us to Miami Beach. Miami Beach, Florida is a separate municipality located on an island east of the city of Miami. It is situated on the southeastern coast of the United States, along the Atlantic Ocean. Miami Beach is connected to the mainland by several causeways, including the MacArthur Causeway and the Venetian Causeway. Miami Beach has a population of approximately 92,000 residents, according to recent estimates. Miami Beach is renowned for its beautiful sandy beaches, clear blue waters, and a vibrant, lively atmosphere. Art and culture play a significant role in Miami Beach, with numerous art galleries, museums, and cultural events.
Hey gentlemen, women, I want to speak on making excuses for our significant others because we see the potential, we see what they're capable of, but they don't. Listen, you can only go so far with that. What they give you is what they plan on continuing to give you. You're not going to benefit from that investment because a bad relationship is an investment. You standing there giving your all and receiving nothing. No, I'm sorry. You receiving exactly what he want to give or she want to give because it goes both ways with both sex. My thing is, let him go. Find somebody worth investing in. Someone who already reached their potential or heading there. Don't try to rescue nobody that don't want to be saved.
Shandell Harris was a 30-year-old woman from Miami, Florida. Harris attended Miami Northwestern Senior High School. She then dropped out of Northwestern in the 12th grade, and she went to Albany to continue with her studies at Turner Job Corps Center, where she obtained her General Educational Development (GED) diploma. She even shared on her social media accounts that she was so proud of her accomplishments when she revealed she obtained her high school diploma from Turner Job Corps Center at 24. She was also excited that she finally has a license. She also said she was working as a CNA doing home health care. She admitted that getting to where she is now hasn't been easy, but she's reached a point where she won't give up. People who knew Harris characterized her as a very excellent mother and a terrific friend who was extremely inviting and compassionate. When Harris was 17 years old, she became a mother and gave birth to her daughter Mia, whom she loved beyond all else. Shandell also offered advice on relationships and the telltale indications to look for in a spouse, as well as on poor habits that can bring about ill luck. Carl Watts, Shandell's husband and a family man. Since 1995, Carl Monty Watts Jr. was charged with numerous offenses, including assault, kidnapping, attempted kidnapping, gambling, fraud, and possession of a controlled substance, yet despite all of these crimes, he was still able to win over the woman by pretending to be someone he wasn't, a charming guy next door. Because he was able to attract attractive women and convince them that he was the excellent guy they had been waiting for their entire lives, it seemed that luck was always on his side. Carl Watts Jr. would soon become a suspect in another case, this time for the murder of his wife Shandell Harris following a domestic quarrel.
We begin with breaking news, a domestic dispute turning deadly after a shooting at a Jewish community center. I'm Carly Barnett. Thank you for joining us. Police have a suspect in custody, and tonight we are learning more about the alleged victim. CBS 4's Trish Christakis joins us live from the scene with the information that we know so far. Trish.
Yeah, Carly, Miami-Dade police did confirm that a woman was fatally shot here today. Now, they said around 2:15 the call was made. When fire and rescue got on scene, they did pronounce the woman dead from gunshot wounds. The suspected gunman, who is in custody right now behind me, is known as the victim's husband. I did speak with the victim's family. They named her as Shandell Harris, and she was about to turn 31 in May. The police have not yet identified who the suspected shooter is.
Police and witnesses said that Carl Watts Jr., the suspect's husband, was the murderer. After learning who the murderer was, the families of Trukita Scott and Vickie Simmons were upset but not surprised to learn of the killing. The families of Trukita and Vickie claimed that Scott and Simmons had interactions with Carl Watts Jr. No one has ever been held accountable for the 2009 murder of Vickie or the 2014 disappearance of Trukita. In 2009, Vickie Simmons and Carl Watts Jr. were dating. Vickie's relatives regarded it as a forceful, violent relationship. Vickie and Carl split up. Vickie's family reported her missing in February 2009, but 2 days later, her body was discovered at a Miami motel. Trukita's family claims that she first met Carl in her senior year in high school. She later dated him intermittently and gave birth to a boy, but their union was allegedly physically abusive, according to Trukita's family and friends. After years of intermittent dating, Trukita made the decision to call it quits. According to those close to her, he was not thrilled about it. Trukita tried to move on, and she even got engaged, but Scott tried to co-parent with Watts because they have a son together. Trukita went to meet Carl in June 2014 to pick up money for their son, but she was never heard from again. When confronted, Carl insisted that Trukita left and that he was not responsible for her abduction, but her family was certain that Watts had taken Scott and mistreated Trukita. Although Carl was listed as a person of interest in connection with Trukita's disappearance, no charges were ever brought against him. The families of Scott and Simmons both think Carl was involved in their demises and disappearances. On April 2, 2022, they got into a fight when Shandell apparently requested for divorce, saying that she was sick of being abused. After stabbing her, Carl Watts told her he wouldn't go back to jail and requested her to help him clean the apartment with bleach. He took her out as restitution for stabbing her, and while they were out, she called her mother to tell what had happened. Then, she was able to persuade him to take him to her mother's house so that her mother could make an emergency 911 call. She instructed her families to lock all the doors and keep Carl out as soon as she arrived at her mother's house. Shandell made a 911 call as Watts remained outside. Carl then noticed that they were dialing 911. He made the decision to try breaking in, but he failed. He was able to get away when the police arrived. Watts was hunting for Shandell while the police were looking for Watts, so Shandell drove herself to the hospital, told the police what had happened to her, and made the decision to stay with her mother for the time being. On the 3rd of April, 2022, Shandell's child frequently took swimming lessons at the Michael and Russell Jewish Community Center, and Shandell went with her mother and family. Carl Watts Jr. would eventually show up there. He then went to Shandell and pleaded with her not to open a case. Shandell then told him to leave her alone. Then, in front of her daughter, her mother, family, and other nearby witnesses, he pulled out a gun and started shooting at her until he ran out of bullets. She had already been declared dead when the cops arrived. Carl Watts was detained and accused with killing Shandell Harris in the second-degree murder. He submitted a not guilty plea, but nothing has been said regarding his sentencing since then. If you would like to stay updated with this type of content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the following video.